Welcome back to Murder with the Missus. I'm Darren.
And I'm Amy, and today we're going to talk about Asha Degree.
Don't forget to smash that like button. Check out the description for the links of all of our podcast platforms, Cash App, and Buy Me a Coffee. Like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to tell your friends. As always, tell your friends, because you know what? If you guys enjoy it, maybe your friends will enjoy it too.
Otherwise, why are you friends?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
You're not real good friends if you don't share it.
You got to share something.
But anyway, today we're recording on Memorial Day, but you guys won't see it until the next day, which is Tuesday.
Yep.
So happy Memorial Day. Give thanks for the veterans that gave their lives for us to be able to do what we're able to do.
That's right.
So, all right. So today's story is a disappearance story.
Yes. So this is a name that is very well known in the true crime community. But to warn you, this is involving a 9-year-old girl. So I have to say that in advance for those who don't care to hear about cases involving kids. But if you look at any threads online about cases that have stuck with you over the years or strange disappearances that haunt you, things like that, you're going to find Asha's name on every list, every time. And this is the actual 25th anniversary of her disappearance. And there's been some new developments. So let's get into it.
All right.
Asha was born on August 5th of 1990 in Shelby, North Carolina. Her parents, Harold and Aquila, had been married on Valentine's Day in 1988. In 1989, they had their son O'Brien. Then the next year came Asha. Now, Harold and Aquila didn't allow a lot of outside influence in the house. They kept the focus on school, family, and church. And it wasn't like a lock up the kids situation. It was more like no computers or cell phones in the house kind of situation. So I guess a better explanation would be that they wanted to have more control over what their kids were subjected to instead of just giving them free reign like a lot of kids have these days.
Well, I mean, in 2000, there wasn't a lot of people that had computers and in their house or cell phones.
Very true. That's very true. At least among the people that we knew. Yeah. That wasn't a big thing yet. And to each their own. It was important because O'Brien and Asha were latchkey kids. And Harold was a dock worker, and Aquila built pianos at a manufacturing place. So the kids would come home from school and have their homework done by the time their parents got home from work. And I know, oh my God, the kids were only 9 and 10. But they did have family members that lived in the neighborhood. So if they needed anything, they were right there, like close. And when we're talking about the reason for things like no computers in the house, no cell phones, Aquila said in a 2013 interview with Jet that every time you turned on the TV, there was some pedophile who had lured somebody's child away by the internet. So since the internet was starting to get big, there wasn't as many regulations and things back then as there are now. And even now, it's super easy to get a hold of somebody. But back then, it was like nobody knew about security, privacy. Everybody was just sharing everything and all the things online. And this was what they worried about. Now, Asha herself was cautious, shy, and she was reportedly very okay with these restrictions. She was scared of dogs, and she rarely answered the front door without permission or knowing who it was on the other side of that door. She was in the 4th grade in 2000, and all the schools in Cleveland County were closed on Friday, February 11th. So the kids would have a 3-day weekend and come back to school on Monday the 14th, which was Valentine's Day. But that Friday, their parents had to go to work. Of course, kids get out of school a lot more often than adults get out of work, which I think is wrong because I think adults need more time off too. Whoever decided work 5 off too, I'm going to kick them in the nuts. So O'Brien and Asha had spent the day with their aunt, and then they both still had basketball practice after school.
So dang, out of school but they still had to go?
Right. So sorry, I said out of school. So after school. So yeah, they still had to go to school to go to basketball practice, even though they didn't have school that day. Now they had basketball games on Saturday. So I guess the coaches wanted to get more practice in before then. Asha was a point guard on her team and was pretty good at it from everything I've read. But at the game on Saturday, she fouled out of the game, and the team ended up losing it. And the reports were that this was the first game that they had lost that season, and this upset Asha very badly. It is said that she was crying with her teammates after the game, which, I mean, they're young. But she seemed to be over it by the time she watched O'Brien's game later in the day. Now on Sunday, Asha went to church and came home. Everything seemed normal. She went to bed at about 8 p.m. Now there's a lot of varying reports on how this evening went, but a storm rolled in, and apparently a car accident had caused the whole neighborhood to lose power. It was back on at around 12:30 that night, though. And that's when Harold came home from work from his second job, and he went in and checked on the kids. Now, the kids shared a bedroom since they lived in a 2-bedroom townhouse, or some people call it an apartment. And he said that they were both asleep in their beds when he checked on them.
They were out.
Yeah, they were out. They both went to bed at 8 o'clock because with no TV and nothing to do because there's no electric, they were just like, we'll just go to bed.
Yeah.
Now, some reports say that right before Harold went to bed at about 2:30 a.m. that he checked in on the kids one more time and they were still in bed. Now, I don't know if him opening the door woke them up or what, but O'Brien said shortly after that check-in, he heard Asha's bed squeak. Now, maybe she was getting up to go to the bathroom or just rolling over in bed. Either way, he didn't think too much about it and he went back to sleep. Now, Aquila woke up at about 5:45 a.m. and ran a bath for the kids because since there wasn't any power the night before, when they went to bed, they didn't get a chance to take their baths. So she wanted to make sure that they got one before they went to school. She went to wake them up and get them to their bath. And O'Brien was under his covers, just like he normally slept. But Asha was not in her bed. She looked all over the house for her. She looked in the cars. She told Harold, who called the family that also lived on the street. And his sister-in-law said that they hadn't seen her either. So they called 911. Because what do you do?
So, I mean, please tell me the cops took it serious.
Oh, yeah. A missing 9-year-old, they took it seriously.
Okay.
Harold had told the dispatch that her book bag, shoes, and her little purse was gone. By 6:40 a.m., the first officers got there. So it was just about 10 minutes after the 911 call. Aquila went to throughout the neighborhood yelling for Asha and reportedly woke the whole neighborhood up by 7 o'clock. And you're damn right. I would do the same thing. Everyone canceled their plans that day and helped search. People were calling into work. I can't come to work. I got to help look for Asha. Pastors and other local clergymen came to help. But by the end of the day, all anyone had found was a mitten. But it didn't belong to Asha. And they'd already stored their winter clothes, so Aquila said it couldn't have been one of hers anyway. The local news was already broadcasting the story. They took it very, very, very seriously. The first week was a busy week. They did find candy wrappers of the same kind of candy that Asha had been given as an early Valentine's Day little, what do you call it? A little treat from her grandma. So they found those candy wrappers, a pencil, a green marker, and a yellow Mickey Mouse hair bow in a shed at a nearby business on Highway 18. And her parents did look at these items and they said, yes, these are definitely Asha's. And they know that she had likely pre-packed her book bag at this point too, because only certain things were gone. And she had several changes of clothes, including a pair of blue jeans with a red stripe on them, things like that they could see were missing. And, that would indicate that she packed the bag ready to go. So she had all this stuff that was just looking like she had just basically left on her own.
So did she run away?
They think so, because there was no sign of a break-in. All the doors were locked when Aquila got up. So Asha likely left the house and then used her key to lock the door behind her. Because her disappearance was on the news, some people had started calling in sightings too. On Monday morning at 3:30 a.m., a truck driver coming down Highway 18 saw a child matching Asha's description walking south along the highway in the rain. And at 4 a.m., another truck driver and an 18-wheeler for Sundrop Bottling Company sees the same little girl walking down the highway. Now, thinking it was odd that there's a small child out alone in the rain on the highway at 4 a.m, he turned around. He actually had to circle 3 times. And then when he got close, she ran into the woods and disappeared. Now, Dan Crawford, he was the sheriff at the time, he said, "We're pretty sure it was her because the descriptions they gave are consistent with what we know that she was wearing. So she was put to bed in a white nightgown. But when she was seen on the highway, she was wearing a white long sleeve shirt with acid wash jeans and white Nike shoes, possibly carrying a teddy bear, according to Missing People in America." So they're pretty sure that was her. Yeah.
So I wonder if she wore all white on purpose.
I wondered that too, because she was smart. And if you plan to go somewhere in particular, like you've got a plan in mind and you plan it all out, I wondered if she knew it was best to wear white clothes and not dark clothes so that she could be visible to cars in their headlights, right? I thought the same thing. But then again, do 9-year-olds think of stuff like that? Like, I don't think a 9-year-old's out there going, well, I need my reflective vest and, you know what I mean?
That wouldn't make any sense because she kept running into the woods to disappear, basically.
Right, to disappear, but she didn't want to get hit by a car. If she's walking along the highway,
You're right.
That's where my mind went.
Yeah.
Now, they do bring out their dogs, of course, the cops, but they couldn't get her scent. Possibly because of the heavy rain and the wind in the area that night. They say it scatters the scent and it's harder for them to follow. They hung up flyers. They searched abandoned houses and wells. They got several hundred leads that they followed up on. It took 9,000 hours to search a 2 to 3 mile radius around the area. And after all that, and nothing was found, they called off a week after her disappearance. So the only thing they found was those candy wrappers and the pencil and the hair bow. After that, nothing. At a press conference on February 22nd of 2000, the sheriff said that the FBI and North Carolina's State Bureau of Investigation were involved in Asha's case, and she was put in the databases of missing children, so they each have their own. Now, NCMEC said that most children who run away are at least 12 years old, so it was really odd to have a 9-year-old run away on her own volition. So Asha, being so young, was it stood out, because why? And where was she going? She obviously planned. Where was she going? The FBI said that they didn't see any family dysfunction, because they always look at that. She didn't have bad grades. Things that would make a 9-year-old feel like they had to leave or that they would want to leave. Like there was no bad situations.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
Right. Because usually when someone that young runs away, it's like, what were they running away from?
Yeah.
Or anybody who runs away, what are you running from?
Exactly.
And there was speculation for a bit, accusing the family of stuff like that, thinking that there had to be something to make this make sense. But the authorities ruled all that out. And I think this might be a good place to take a moment to hear from today's sponsor.
Yep. Just hang out with us just for a minute. We'll be right back.
Do you or someone you know live in an apartment community? Are you balling on a budget? Make your money work for you.
Some apartments don't even offer a washer and dryer included in the lease. If you want that life, you need to contact My Laundry Solutions.
They service areas in Oklahoma, Missouri, and Texas. Their newest location is in Fort Worth, with more locations opening in Texas in 2025 and 2026. Check the website for locations near you. There's no credit check. Every contract includes free local service. They professionally install, and your account is available 24/7 online. Go to your leasing office, go to mylaundrysolutions.com, or call 800-535-4411.
Stop wasting your hard-earned money at the laundromat and give My Laundry Solutions a call today. Give them a call today.
Today.
Yep.
Now, Harold and Aquila, they did go on Montel Williams. Oprah Winfrey and America's Most Wanted highlighted the case. So they're getting some national coverage. In March, police put up a billboard with Asha's information on it along Highway 18, since that was the last place she was seen. And the next year, stock car racer Travis Kittleston, I don't follow stock cars, put Aisha's picture on the hood of his car for an event that was broadcast on TNN. He said, "We've got a perfect opportunity to put Aisha's picture on our car, and maybe, with any luck, we can help bring her home." So, I mean, there's people pitching in everywhere. In August of 2001, so this is a year and a half after her disappearance, there was a contractor digging an access road for a new house about 50 yards off of Highway 18 in Morganton, and this was about 26 miles north of Shelby. They dug up a trash bag. Inside this was another trash bag, and inside that was a backpack. There were two things about this bag. One, why is it wrapped in two black trash bags? Like, this definitely shows that it wasn't there by accident. And two, it had Aisha's name and phone number on it.
Man, I thought that was going a different way for a second.
Right? What was in the bag?
Yeah.
It was bittersweet, though. The FBI sent the bag to Quantico for testing, but didn't release any of the results. They did say that inside was a Dr. Seuss book of McElligot's. Dr. Seuss stuff always trips me up. I have a hard enough time speaking English as it is. McElligot's Pool. And that was not known to be a book that Aisha had before she disappeared. But it did come from her elementary school. And there was a New Kids on the Block concert t-shirt in there that was not hers. Then in 2004, a tip came in from an inmate at the county jail that had the cops digging at an intersection in Lawndale. Now, they did find bones when they dug through there, but they were animal bones, not human. In 2005, ServPro, which is a water cleanup and restoration company, along with Republic GDS, which is a waste pickup service, put Aisha's picture on their work vehicles so that everywhere they drove, people saw her face. In 2008, Harold and Aquila established a scholarship in Aisha's name for deserving local students. And they also had an annual walk to raise awareness and money to fund the searches. So this starts at their house, and they walk to the billboard on Highway 18 every year. They originally did these walks on the anniversary of her disappearance, but they ended up changing it to a week earlier because they didn't feel like it was fair to make Valentine's Day a somber day. Oh.
You know, plus that changes their wedding anniversary forever, too.
Right. They were married on Valentine's Day, and then she disappeared on Valentine's Day. So it's really all very sad. And now I have told you all the things that have been done to try to find her. But her parents felt like it wasn't enough. Probably most parents in their situation would until there's a resolution. But this was very different from that. Her mom in interviews has said things like that Aisha's disappearance fell into the missing while black trap. She said, "Missing white children get more attention. I don't understand why. I know if you ask them, they say it's not racial." Oh, really? I'm not going to argue because I have common sense. So she was feeling like this was very, but I don't see a lot of missing people back in at this time being put on work vehicles for companies and on billboards. And you know what I mean? Like,
well, maybe she was feeling more like the department wasn't doing as much as they should.
I believe so. Yeah, I guess so. But
That's
she
what
was
I'm
saying that in a blanket statement that white children get more attention when they go missing. And we hear that a lot. So this is where she was during this time. This was her state she was in. Now, in February of 2015, the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office, SBI, and FBI re-examined and re-interviewed this whole case. They offered a $25,000 reward for information, and then a community group offered an additional $20,000 to make that reward $45,000. In May of 2016, the FBI announced a new lead. It seems that around 4 a.m., Aisha was seen getting into a dark green car, similar to an early 1970s Lincoln Continental Mark IV or a Ford Thunderbird from around the same era. The car had rust around the wheel wells.
Mark 4 or Mark 5?
It said 4.
Oh, okay.
Am I wrong?
No, I just...
Oh.
It could be right. I don't know. I thought it would be Mark 5.
Should we Google?
No. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sure somebody will comment and say we was wrong. So go ahead.
Great. Spreading misinformation. Then in 2020, a man serving time already for sex crimes against children wrote a letter to the Shelby Star, and it said that Asha had been murdered and he knew where her body was. But 2 months later, after investigating that tip, the sheriff said that they had followed up on that and it was another dead end. And this is where the case sat until last year.
So what happened last year?
Well, it started last year and it's still going on now. But in September of 2024, search warrants were issued.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It seems that the DNA evidence from her book bag was reran with the new technology and things that they have, right?
Yep.
And it popped for Russell Underhill and a hereditary family member to Roy and Connie Dedman. The warrants say that Asha was a victim of homicide and her body was concealed. So who are these people popping up 24 years later? Roy and Connie Dedman owned a Northbrook rest home in Vale. They had 3 daughters, Lizzie, Sarah, and Annalee. Annalee was 13 when Asha disappeared. Lizzie was 16 and Sarah was 15. So of course, they're all adults now. The Dedmans had bought a couple of old school buildings from the Lincoln County Board of Education and then opened them as rest homes. Now, one they sold, though, but they still had Northbrook. But now in 2024, it's reported that Roy had some 29 vehicles registered to him. Now, the documents also say that DNA samples indicated the likelihood that the hair sample from Asha Degree's undershirt is a personal, genetically identical match to the DNA standard collected from Anna Lee Victoria Dedman Ramirez. Damn, that's a mouthful.
So she was the 13-year-old. So she was the 13-year-old when Asha disappeared.
Yes. So she would have been the 13-year-old daughter. So they found her hair in that shirt. So they're like, how did this girl's hair get in this book bag?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the searches were done on Roy's house, which was only about 3.7 miles from the last known location of Asha. They searched the rest home, and they also searched Annalee's house in Charlotte. Now, the warrants say that the investigators found out that Roy, the dad, would send one of his daughters, which was the oldest, Lizzie, to transport patients to and from the Broughton Hospital in Morganton to the rest home, but they would have her use like an unreliable vehicle. That's the only thing it says. Now, Highway 18 is the most logical route to take to and from the hospital and the rest home. Now, Asha's book bag was also found along Highway 18 near Morganton, which is about 7.2 miles away from the hospital. So, it's looking kind of suspicious.
Yeah.
The warrant also says that because of the ages of the daughters, that adult assistance from Roy and Connie would have been necessary in the execution and or concealment of Asha's body. So they're saying that they're not saying anything, but what they're leading you to is possibly Lizzie was driving that car, possibly something happened to Asha with that car, and it would have been along her route when she wasn't supposed to be transporting patients. You know what I mean? Like, and then her parents would have had to help her cover it up.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's what I'm putting together. You can put together what you want to from it, but that's what I'm getting from it. So maybe she accidentally could have hit Asha with a car on accident in the rainy middle of the night along a highway with no lights. You know what I mean? We don't know for sure. But like I said, make up your own mind.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know that for sure, but you know. So what about the other guy, Russell?
Right. So Russell Underhill was a man who lived in at least 2 of the facilities that the Deadmans owned at the time. They know that he stayed at Northbrook Rest Home between 2002 and 2004. And they know that Roy Deadman was listed as Russell's emergency contact on his medical forms. He lived in the Deadman facility called Cleveland Healthcare, and Connie would oversee his medication at one point. Now, back then it was called Cleveland Healthcare, but it closed and he ended up going to Northbrook. So where they have now. The Shelby Star says that Russell actually died in 2004, and that the autopsy and investigation reports say that he was a Vietnam veteran, he was 54 years old, and that he had issues with alcohol and substance abuse stemming from his struggle with depression. So that's why he was in and out of facilities at what is a relatively young age. That along with his coronary artery disease. Now, Russell was last seen on Christmas at around 6 p.m., and was found 2 days later in his apartment, slumped over on his couch in his living room. While police said that there was no evidence of unusual circumstances involving his death, they could not determine his cause of death in an autopsy.
So I would have assumed it was a heart attack.
I would have too, but the coronary artery disease, right?
Yeah.
But they found no sign of a heart attack. Yeah. So he's another person they found DNA on Asha's stuff, but now he's deceased and they can't talk to him. They did see an older brain injury, but couldn't find anything linking that to his death either. So now they say, like I said, his DNA was found there. They also found a hair that belonged to Annalee. Now, when they did search the properties back in September, they didn't find any remains on any of the properties, and nothing of Asha's was there either. But they did take a 1964 green AMC Rambler. Now you can see this in our case pic. It's in the top right. That's the actual car on the tow truck as they're taking it off the property. Now this is similar to the car described as the one the witnesses saw Asha getting into at 4 a.m. the night she went missing. See it?
Yeah, I can see it.
I don't know how she got into the car either. Some reports say that she was getting into it, and some say she was being pulled into it. So, I don't know. I think that it's a very important detail, though. I think they do need to find out. Because she was, if they're saying that she was accidentally hit by the car, or they're speculating that she could have been hit by the car, then you would expect to see front end damage, which is what you see on that Rambler, front end damage. But the other possibility was that she got into the car on her own. Well, then there wouldn't be any damage, or it wouldn't have been related to her disappearance.
Yeah.
So I think the detail really matters. The oldest daughter, Lizzie, would have been the one that had picked up and transported the patients, right? So she was given a polygraph in February of 2025, so a couple months ago. When asked whether she was concealing information about Asha's case, she showed deception on the polygraph. We don't have to go over the reliability of a polygraph test, so I'm just letting you guys know that detail. It is part of the release information. And then you have Thad, but Thad is just a random guy. He used to hang out with the Deadman sisters, going to parties and things like that. And he said that at a party in the mid-2000s, he was with the sisters, and Lizzie was crying and bawling when she was very drunk. He said that she said, "I killed Asha Degree." And Sarah told Lizzie to shut the fuck up. And she did. Now, police gave a polygraph to Thad too. Like, can we even trust what you're saying? And he passed his polygraph. So
very interesting.
Very interesting. Now, to me, I can't jump right into that showing that she was confessing to murder. Sometimes people can feel responsible without being involved. Like, just for example, a little speculation, if you will. Since it was 4 a.m. and raining, a 16-year-old doesn't really want to go do a patient pickup. Maybe she says, "No, I'm not doing it." So somebody has to go. And it's them that hits Asha. So then Lizzie would feel responsible because had she just got up and done it, Asha wouldn't have gotten hit. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a way to feel responsible without actually being the one who caused it. if that makes sense. So I'm not going to jump straight to a murder confession. Now, we're going to wrap this up with the text messages. In February, they released the text between the sisters, all three of the sisters, and one of their ex-husbands. They were from September when the search warrants were being executed. Now, starting the day the search is started, which is September 10th, Sarah texted Lizzie, "They think it's our shirt. It's not our shirt. Or I'm sorry, it's not her shirt. Her mom said it wasn't hers. I don't remember that shirt. I'm scared though. Dad is probably going to be a huge suspect." Well, why would you say that? The next day, Annalee texted Lizzie that she was at the lawyer's office and tells Lizzie to not be talking to anyone without representation. But Lizzie does text her ex-husband anyways. She says, "This is going to get nothing but worse. I'm talking to my doctor at 5 to get something for my nerves. I'm just so worried. So worried. I mean, it's a nightmare that's going to keep getting worse." Why? Sorry. "I can see nothing good happening anytime soon, and I'm an optimist. There's no way this is going to be okay."
People just text everything.
Everything.
Good night. It's like an admission of guilt.
It's very
In
suspicious.
text.
Yes, in writing.
I mean, that's like, you might as well just stick your hands out and be like, handcuff me.
They're like, right here. Look over
Yeah.
here. Look here.
You guys are drawing big ass arrows to yourself.
Yeah. Hell, the next day, she texted her ex, "I feel so horrible. So horrible. I don't know what to do. I caused this." Why are you saying this? Well, go ahead and keep saying it. I mean,
Yeah, keep saying it.
Just go
If
ahead.
you did it, freaking fess up to
Just
it.
say it.
And just get it over with.
that's right.
That way this case can be closed
Mhm.
and be done.
25 years. Just
Yes.
get it out of the way.
It's just, man, it's one of them things like, I don't know. It's just one of them deals like, why?
Mm-hmm.
I've said it before in another case too. If you did it and it was an accident, just
say it.
say it.
Right.
A lot of times if it's an accident, you can tell, they can see that it was an accident. And a lot of times you'll get a little bit more leeway.
Consideration.
Yeah.
Because the cover-up is a big problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Why are you lying? Why are you covering? If it was an accident, why not just come forward? See what I mean?
And then you got these texts and everything. They're just sitting there just puking all this out. Just like,
This is only going to get worse.
it's only going to get worse.
You're right.
I don't think it was her shirt.
It wasn't my shirt.
It
I
wasn't
don't
my
remember the
shirt. Was that her shirt? The mom said it wasn't her shirt.
What is
What?
happening? Yes. Well,
Like-
this ain't even it. There's more to go.
Okay, well, let's continue on.
So after she texted the ex saying, "I caused this," she then texted her sister Sarah asking if everyone was mad at her. And Sarah said, "No, this is not your fault." She puts it in all caps. Lizzie talked to the family attorney, David Teddy, and then texted Sarah again on the 12th saying, "The theory is I did it. Accident. Covered it up." Stop. Fast forward to September 29th. Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, go ahead.
On September 29th, there was a text between Lizzie and Sarah, a whole string of texts, where Lizzie says, "I'm just so anxious about what's going on behind the scenes."
About
What she says a lot. What are they doing now? What's going to happen to me since I wouldn't talk to them? I'm afraid it's going to get worse. Well, he told me it's going to. Sarah said, "I know, girl. I'm a disaster. I think if they come at you again, you just go and be compliant. That's what I'm planning on doing." Smart girl, Sarah. Lizzie said, "I think so too. Honestly, I want to do what Dad says, but damn." So what's Dad telling him?
exactly.
What? Okay. So Sarah says, "And maybe we shouldn't let you do what you originally, or sorry, Let me start over. Sarah said, and maybe we should have let you do what you originally wanted to do.
Maybe say something.
What did Lizzie want to do? And Dad say, don't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Lizzie's like, I'm just going to tell him the truth. And he's like, don't.
Oh, that was probably the thing is she was probably going to say something, but then it came out that there wasn't supposed to be doing the traveling.
Maybe.
With the patient or whatever on that highway.
Maybe.
For the business. And so he was like, don't do that. That'll ruin us. You know
guess
what I mean?
What else will ruin you?
I mean, guess what, buddy? That's probably why they're selling all their freaking stuff.
Well. Now, Lizzie said she doesn't know what to do. And Sarah says, right. You don't want something we do or say impact him, because we also can't be living like this either. I mean, I told him I'm not going to do that. It's not like worth our mental health. He was just like, I will call Teddy. We can go get a polygraph with the honest people. I really just don't have it in me to go through what you've been through. So what is she talking about, the honest people?
I mean, they definitely know something.
Oh, they know something. They know something. Now, attorney Teddy did hold a press conference saying that he felt compelled to speak out because of the rampant conjecture and speculation that has been happening in the community. He said, the connection to Roy Dedman and his family is tenuous at best, and Roy has maintained, and his family has maintained, and will continue to maintain that they're not involved with Asha's disappearance and have no information that would help law enforcement figure out what happened to her. Well, it sounds like they might have some information.
That's debatable.
Did you read those texts, Teddy?
Yeah.
And that's just part of them. There's lists of these texts. He alluded to Russell Underhill, the man who died in 2004, saying that he may be the only one who knows what happened to Asha.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe he got his injury from that night.
Oh, they didn't. Oh, I don't think they specified if it was like an old war injury.
Yeah.
They just had previous injury.
Yeah.
Huh. He says that the surge by police would sadly link a person to Decree's disappearance who is no longer living. So he's definitely alluding to Russell being the one who hurt Asha. But those text messages allude to the sisters knowing something. So why not come out with it if it was Russell's doing? So now you're throwing in a scenario where none of the Dedman family's involved, but they're still covering. Why? Anyways, I wanted to know, why did you wait 25 years? Because they're still not talking.
Yeah.
So it's going to keep going like that until they actually get some evidence. And then where was Thad for 20 years? Like you hear somebody say at a party that they killed somebody and you're like, oh, she's drunk. And then 20 years later, when the cops come up and they're like, hey, guess what? We're going to look at these people. And they're like, oh, hey, 20 years ago at a party, she said that she killed her.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it screams cover up.
Screams it. So this is still playing out. Like I've said, this was just in February that they took the car and, they're going to have to test it and do all the things. So it's still playing out, and we'll have to update it if anything else happens. And I hope after all this time that something does come out, because, 25 years is a long time.
I hope they find everything they need to find.
Oh, everything. I hope they find everything. And we've talked about this before, how a missing person case to me is worse than a deceased person case.
Especially 25 years.
Right.
That's 25 years of just wondering.
No answers.
Nothing. You don't know what's going on. You don't know whether it is or isn't. And it's just.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just wondering what's going on. Basically. It's just like, how is it going to end? Yeah. How's this going to play out?
And what happened to my loved one? What did they go through before they passed away?
And did it happen at this point in time, or did it drag on for this long? Right. Or, that's what I'm saying. It's just one of them deals. Was it quick? Was it quick, or was it later? Was it just,
and then you've got people,
torture?
You've got people that's been found after years and years and years that just had been brainwashed or changed and did not know that they were that person.
Yep.
It's just wild. And so unless you have that finality of a deceased person, there's just that worry and that wonder forever. Ugh. Then you got to deal with the whole, if they are found, then you deal with the whole lost child, deceased family member. Then you start that turmoil in a whole different way. It's just gut wrenching. Now, Aquila definitely feels that way. She said in earlier interviews that at least if someone you love dies, you have that type of closure. But a disappearance is open-ended. That's a better word to use. It's open-ended.
Yeah.
And then in February of this year, so that would be the 25-year anniversary of the disappearance. Plus, it's when they started doing, releasing all this information about the Deadmans. And they had done the search warrant already. Information had come out on it. Aquila, even after that, said, I believe she's still alive. And until somebody can prove me wrong, I'm still going to believe it. Because all I have is hope. See, that's the problem. If you have done something to her child and you won't say it and you won't help, I think that's just a different kind of torture to put somebody through. It's just not right. And that's where we're at.
Yeah.
This is, like I said, it's coming out now. The reward now, as of, I think yesterday, I saw a news report that said that the reward is now at $75,000. So if you have any information, you can contact the FBI Charlotte office at 704-672-6100 or your local FBI office. And you can also contact NCMEC at 800-THE-LOST. Right? So do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I just, I hope we get an update on this one right here because, there's something going on there. There's
something happened.
Yeah, they're hiding something.
Something happened big time.
Most definitely.
Now, if you like our content, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you have a case suggestion or you just want to say hi, you can email us at dnda.truecrime@gmail.com. We also have Cash App at $MWTM pod.
We also have Buy Me a Coffee at buymeacoffee.com/MWTM. And as always, guys, we appreciate you guys subscribing. We appreciate all the likes and all the shares and everything. But please tell your friends and maybe they'll like our stuff too.
Maybe.
So until next time, we'll see you.
Bye.